Well, hi, welcome everyone. My name is Rika Patino, and I'd like to welcome you to this call this morning. I am beyond words excited. There are no words. I was actually privileged enough to meet Sherry Sharman when I was 24 years old, 1990, and I was at her very first women's empowerment meeting in her hotel room in Austin, Texas, back then. And, some of the things that she taught me really impacted my life and changed it forever. And some of you guys have heard me say, and if you've known me for a while, you know I always talk about this Sherry Sharman lady. But what happened is she really did change my life, not just because of I was born in Finland and my family came here and we had this strong work ethic and it was all about, the American dream and you can come here and if you work harder, you could make more money, you could be successful. But I never had a role model. I never had anyone that taught me about not only financial success, but just how to be a successful woman. And she taught me business principles and stuff that helped me with a lot of careers that I've had and businesses that I've had, but she also taught me how to live life and how to enjoy life and how to look for solutions, not problems, how to go out and not be, see, I was surrounded by a lot of people, and maybe you are too, where they're catty, they're little backstabbing, they talk about you behind your back, that kind of thing. And she said, Rika, that's not what it's supposed to be like. We're supposed to be like a sisterhood and empower one another and support one another and help each other become successful. And I carried that with me my whole entire life since that day at such a young age of 24. So when you hear me talk about her, I'm so thrilled to be here because one of the things that she taught me is to look for solutions, not problems, and to look forward. Because as long as we're looking backwards, we can't be moving forwards. And I remember feeling insecure and not feeling like I could accomplish that much in life. But you see, she had already gone out and been successful. I mean, just so those of you guys that don't know who she has been on the cover of many magazines. She went from being a broke preschool teacher to making millions of dollars, but she spent almost 4 decades teaching other people how to be successful. And she told me that, help other people get what they want and you'll get what you need. And I've incorporated that into my life. And so I give back a lot because she taught me to do that. And so, and one of the things that she had really said to me that impacted me, she said, if you only knew who you were. And I think no one had ever said that to me. No one had ever said, and I thought, what do you mean? I'm this, I'm that, all these pretend outside things that I had tried to be for everybody else. She said, no, if you only knew who you were, you could help me change so many things and impact so many lives. So I'm thrilled to have you get a chance to hear from her. And I hope you open up your heart and your mind because she could quite literally change some aspects of your life too. So please help me welcome Sherry Sharman.
Thank you so much, Rika. And for a lot of you, am I frozen? Because
No.
because Rika's frozen on my screen. I have this picture of Rika. It's frozen on my screen. Okay, there we go. My Zoom was not responding. This has been one of those mornings. I don't know. We've got people from all over the world on this call, but I don't know if any of you wake up and you think this is going to be a great day, and everything that could go wrong goes wrong right before. And so I'm just going to say, everybody, just take a deep breath. You're here. And we're so happy you're here. And a lot of you I've met, a lot of you I haven't had the opportunity to meet. And like Rika said, we started women empowerment back in the early 90s. And the main reason it all started was because, on our flyer, it says, empowered women empower women. Empowered women empower women. And when you understand that, at that time, did not feel very empowered, even though I was on stage and I was speaking and all of this. When I saw Rika and 8 other women that had traveled from LA to Austin, Texas to see me speak, and they drove, I was like, I need you ladies to come up to my suite and let's have a chat, because I wanted to interview them and find out why you would drive across country to see me. Because see, at the beginning of my career, I was putting like notes on my mirror saying I'm a powerful woman. Because I didn't feel it. And so when I got to see women that were empowered by me, I was like, okay, we need to start a community of women, like-minded women that want to not only have a sisterhood, but really, really want to help people grow and feel empowered. And that's how the whole woman empowerment started. And then I've fallen in love with helping women become successful. And today or this evening, because I know a lot of you are in the Asian countries that are on this call, you're going to get to hear from some people I want to spotlight. You're going to just get a little snippet of these wonderful women that, I truly believe that if we would all spotlight each other's talents instead of wanting it all on us, that, people I need the spotlight on me. No, give it to others and watch how the world changes. And in a time when the world is so chaotic and there's so many things going on and there's, so much evil is being exposed in the world, and truly I believe God's got his hand on our planet right now, and I believe that this is a time for all of us to unite and help each other, through some challenging times. And the women that I'm going to introduce you, we've all had our challenges, we have, and for us to be able to be where we're at, there's a saying, you teach best what you most need to learn in life. And I needed to learn women empowerment. I needed to feel that. And I love seeing so many young people on this call. Ladies, if you have kids or anything, they're welcome to be on the call. Just bring them in, sit them on your lap, and like I said, welcome to not only have them experience it, but feel the love that we have. And the first person I want to go to, and I'm so excited about this because she's in Singapore. And Shar, if you could make her a co-host because she has some slides she wants to share with everybody. This woman is impressed me so much because not only is she an author of a book called Courageous Women, she has got a network of women that I've just fallen in love with because they're go-getters. They're positive. They do amazing things, and we say, like attracts like. So sometimes I say, if you don't like the friends you're hanging out with, you need to look at yourself, and because you attract people like yourself. And so that's why I love this business so much, because you just kind of get to raise the bar. And she does that with all her people. She's a speaker, she's a trainer, she's a mom and a wife. And I'm so proud to introduce to you Lillian Hong.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you. Yeah. Hi, everyone. All our dear sisters all over the world. So glad to meet everyone here. Yeah, I'm just going to very quickly, basically share my life story, my life experiences, and some of the key takeaways from these experiences. So I'm a very visual person. So I'm just going to share some slides because picture speaks 1,000 words. And yeah, let me just share the slides. Give me a second. Okay, here you go. Right, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, great. Okay. Yeah, so basically, I currently am the founder of Class Living, a social enterprise, and a whole ecosystem here in Singapore. It started with Connecting Mother Support Group, and then Women of Courage Asia, Her Courage Business Network, and also a global network with ABWCI. So Class Living is a social enterprise that I focus on empowering women to build courageous women. So, but what most people don't know, because they only see me, if those of you who only know me now, you don't know the backstory, right? So what most people don't know about me is that I do have a number of childhood traumas, and teenage traumas. So being molested at the age of 5, and having the fear of public speaking, because I didn't do well in my math. Therefore, I think that I am a failure, and I don't know how to navigate through my emotions and mindsets and all that. So I go to alcohol to numb myself. I'll just always be found vomiting at the toilet bowl. Yeah. And eventually, I attempted suicide at the age of 18. But thank God, he saved my life, and therefore I'm here tonight to be able to share my journey. Yeah. So because of the childhood traumas and things like that, I actually when I became a mother, I actually had an identity crisis. Self confidence issues, self-worth issues, and all that. So it was very challenging because I battle with suicidal thoughts. Yeah, I was always very self-destructive, self-defeating, self-critical. Yeah, basically, I didn't like myself. So some of the key takeaways that, I learned from my own journey is that, number one, it's all about identity. And if how I define myself, how you define you is how you design and manifest your life or your business. So that was what my takeaway during the reflection. And the other thing is that, awareness. If we have self-awareness is the key, awareness actually empower me with a choice to take very intentional action to create the change that I want, to see a change in my life. So that was what happened. And because of that, things started to change, right? I started, founding Connecting Mother Support Group, started gathering the moms, starting, breaking mindsets, limiting belief, started running half marathons at the age of 44, which was beyond my imagination because I hate to run. I didn't like to run, but being able to do this taught me that, hey, my body can achieve what my mind thinks. So that was a great lesson. I put my health back in order because of that decision, right? And then after that, I step out of my comfort zone to start a business from ground zero. So I went from a stay-at-home mom full-time who was depressed and, struggling with suicidal thoughts to starting a business in the interior decoration business. I'm not interior design trained. I know nuts about interior design. But again, this lesson taught me that, it's all in the mindset. It's all in the mindset. And then, of course, the next thing that happened was launching the book. So stepping out of my comfort zone, launched the book, and I very grateful to Jerry Robert, my book publisher and mentor, who challenged me, right, and supported this journey. So that was the seed that actually launched the community, Women of Courage Asia, and also pushed me out of my comfort zone to do public speaking. I was like having panic attacks every time I do public speaking, literally. Another story about how this panic attack, muscle memory, that is related to the public speaking. So, but to cut the story short, I started taking action. I started to invest in myself, to have a growth mindset, to keep on learning and upgrading myself, getting myself trained in the area that I want to serve others. So the lesson number 3 that I got from this life journey was the clarity. When clarity reveals your why, it reveals my why and directed me to my how. Yeah. So when I gained that clarity, and because I'm such a fan of John Maxwell, yeah, in leadership, he says that a leader is one who knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. And that's what exactly happened in my own personal journey. I begin to have a clear vision of what I want to do for the community and how to do it. So the vision was what I see. I want to see women living our dreams and destinies and making a transformative impact in our sphere of influence. And therefore, the mission was to how to do that, to inspire and empower. Yeah. And then, therefore, all the frameworks come out and I start taking more action, right? Started to it's not about me, I, myself anymore. Now it's about giving back, volunteering and going for mission trips and social works, and then visiting the juvenile institution, running programs in the Singapore Girls' Home, the women's prison. Yeah. So these are some of the things that I found myself doing that is beyond my imagination. And then I also started, receiving requests to do mentoring at universities and polytechnics. So I learned that, hey, wow, your life unfolds in proportion to the courage you want to take to first lead yourself. Yeah. So once I started to lead myself, I realized that my personal breakthrough has such an impact in my sphere of influence because courage is contagious. It is so contagious. Yeah. And everything that I do now is based on this scripture that, I paraphrase it, for you, Lillian, if you are called to liberty, but do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love, serve one another. So, that's why now I'm in the business of building courageous women leaders, empowering each one to create a transformative impact in their own sphere of influence. So I focus very much on leadership, mentorship, and entrepreneurship. Yeah. So this is what my whole mission now is. My whole life, most of my time I spend with the women. So we have monthly empowerment meeting, we have mentoring session, empowering each one to speak up with courage and confidence. And then we have networking meetings, for those who want to venture into entrepreneurship. And then to empower them with some skill sets and techniques. Yeah. And then run boot camps, and then so that we travel together in all these boot camps. So one thing leads to another. I started building teams. So now I have a team of coaches that are journeying together with me and volunteers that are running the community together alongside with me, as well as the both community. Yeah. So I just want to end this by sharing, this quote that I'm very, very inspired from by Matthew Arnold. He's an 18th century poet. I came across it when I was reading the book Lioness Arising. He said that if there ever comes a time when the women of the world comes together, purely and simply for the benefit of mankind, it will be such a force that the world has never known. I don't know about you, but when I read this, I literally has goosebumps. And I told myself, I want to be that force. I want to be part of that force. And I believe that I'm already part of that force because I am among all, you leaders here, wonderful women who are coming together for purely and simply for the benefit of mankind. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to share very briefly my story. So thank you, Sherry, for the opportunity, and I love to connect with everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Lillian. And for everybody that's on this call, did you hear what she said, where she came from, and what it became her passion is to help people? And see, all of us have gone through challenging times. I know that. You wouldn't be on this call if you haven't. And I'm getting choked up because that's a hard act to follow, because everything that she's gone through and everything she's done, she's made her life worthwhile. And the next person I want to go to is someone who's also done that. Excuse me. Lemon water. Apologize. That got me because I know what it's like to feel less than. And I know what it's like to, I'm a survivor of incest. The reason I'm sharing that with you is because all of us have had some type of tough time. And you look at us now and you think, oh my God, you're so powerful and everything. It's important for you to understand that the reason why we're connected with all of you is because of our past. I apologize. Giuseppe, I'm going to go straight to you.
Thank you, Sherry. Oh, now can you guys all hear me now? Okay, great. Thank you, Sherry, for that. And oh my goodness, Lillian, thank you for that. That was so powerful. And I appreciate you sharing your story with all of us. Thank you for being vulnerable. So my speech is going to be just a little bit different. What I want you all to do right now is I want you to picture a runner of a marathon race. This runner has been preparing for this marathon race for weeks. She's been waking up at 5 a.m. to stretch and to practice running. She's been changing her diet and even enduring negative talk from friends and family who couldn't even understand why she was running this race. But here she is now. She's at the starting line and she feels that knot of fear. What if she hasn't prepared enough? The shot goes off. It's time for her to move into action. She notices everyone around her running towards the finish line. Some are jogging, some are moving very swiftly. Others have just surpassed everyone else. She paces herself as she notices a swarm of tiny bugs in her path. And suddenly she stumbles. She can feel the excruciating pain as she looks at the large wound on her knee, which is slowly turning into a huge knot. She tries to get up, but the pain is unbearable. So she sits there and she's sadly watching everyone else seemingly pass her by. And this is how she has started the race. And so, like this runner, we are all in the marathon of life. We all had to prepare for life. We went to school. We were told to go to school so we could get a good job. Or, like me, we may have taken specialty courses to enhance our entrepreneurial endeavors. Either way, life happens and we all end up falling at some point. So my story is actually a little bit similar to Lillian's. I won't go all the way back, but I've been a serial entrepreneur from the time I was age 20. And the reason that I made that choice is because I married early and I had kids right away. And I knew that if I wanted to be successful, I had to learn to go a different route. And so I did that. I became a serial entrepreneur, and my husband and I did it together. And sometimes we had huge successes. I mean, we've built $1 million homes. And then other times we've had what I like to call learning experiences. And in particular, in 2020, we opened two businesses. We opened a car dealership, and I opened another business. And I bought a business. And I don't know why we're serial entrepreneurs. We didn't even think that 2020 COVID would even affect us. I don't know if we were just being blind or what, but not only did it affect us, it we ended up losing everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. We lost our home. We lost all of our cars. We lost our children's pictures, our furniture, memories. We lost every single thing that we had. We even lost our health. So we were both sick after losing everything because stress can do that to you. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about. And it was to the point where I felt like that runner who was down on the ground looking at everyone else just pass me by. And I almost wanted to give up, literally. Like I literally laid in bed and wouldn't get out of bed. Um, but sometimes when we find ourselves down, there's a saying that comes to mind. It's not how you start, but how you finish. And in this marathon for life, it doesn't matter how any of us started. It doesn't matter how you started. It doesn't matter if you've fallen. All you have to do is get back up and take your time getting up. You don't have to get up right away. This is not a race where only one winner wins. It's a marathon. Our runner didn't even realize that she had help on the sidelines. People ran over to our runner immediately to render first aid so that she could get up and continue. And we all have help. The thing is, we can't be too proud to ask for help. We have to be like our runner. And so, as our runner slowly began to get up, she starts to imagine the finish line and everyone who's waiting there for her. She starts to get up. She begins to notice the scenery around her. It's different from where she was from. The people were different too. Their clothing was cultural. The food smells uniquely inviting. She starts to take pleasure in the race, even helping others who had fallen along the way. In our marathon for life, we have to learn how to embrace everything that this planet has to offer us, the sights, the sounds, the different cultures. And traveling is one of the best educations that I've found that you can have. I literally have traveled around the globe. I've had enough miles that I've traveled 14 times around the globe. And it helps not only to open your mind, but to broaden your horizons. And like that runner, learn to help others. In the Bible, it says there's more happiness in giving than in receiving. So learn to enjoy your own pace. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about negative talk. Don't worry about people who are seemingly running ahead of you because they have their pitfalls to deal with too. Nobody in this race is perfect, but everyone's life can be beautiful if, like our runner, you learn to keep getting up and to enjoy the journey.
Wow. Thank you so much, Josephi. And you know, this is just so you all know, this wasn't really scripted. Like we've just all come together. We didn't get a chance to really even rehearse anything or anything. So that you are getting everyone's heart. And I, you know, I'm sorry I lost my voice there for a minute and I did a horrible intro for you, Josephi, but thank you so much because you just took over like the pro that you are for a woman who has spoken all over the world. I mean, I think there's been years that you've traveled around the globe 3 or 4 times, you know, speaking and inspiring people. So thank you so much. And you're an amazing author also. So I just want to let you know that I apologize for not introing you correctly. But the next person I get to go to, and this woman, and she's somebody, the first time you meet her, she not only stands out, but she has got such a story of life. And I'm not going to go into explaining everyone's stories. I'm letting them do it for time's sake. But the one thing that I can say is the minute I met her, I felt like I had a soul sister. She's somebody that is always there. She prays for me all the time. I'm just so excited. And Shar, you know, I know that you live in Phoenix, but you also have a home in Denver now, and you're smart because you're doing your summers in Denver and your winters in Arizona. So you've got the perfect life. So I'm going to turn the call over to you next, Shar.
Thank you, sister. Truly, it is nothing like life when you finally encounter someone IRL in real life, and you're like, where have you been all my life? Our souls have known each other, right, Sherry? And now we get to be here for real. Thank you so much for having me this morning. As Sherry mentioned, my name is Shar. I'm currently in Denver, Colorado here, and have kind of a wild and crazy background, though I believe every one of our stories could fit that bill as well. And I'm going to use a few slides to kind of keep us on track as we rock and roll through here. But I want you to go back to when you were a 13, 14, 15-year-old young lady or young man, if we have any on here. I want you to think to yourself, close your eyes if you need to, write down, what were you thinking about? What was most important in that era for you or that time? Was it your best friends? Was it the person you were interested in school or the teacher you couldn't stand the most? Were you looking forward into your future, graduating school, getting out in the workforce? What was that for you of that age? Just really try to get in touch with that version of you as we begin our story here this morning. Well, this morning for me. And that's where it began. For me, though, it began at age 6. I was sitting in a first grade classroom. We were in trailers because our city of Denver at the time was expanding so quickly, and it was a big square. And I was right in the middle, the third column over, the third seat back, looking at the chalkboard. And to this day, I'm not even going to tell you how many decades later, I have no idea, zero, what the teacher was saying, because in that moment, God began to download the dream to me. And he spelled it out so very clearly that I couldn't even believe this could be my life. As I got older through school, I just dialed it in. The focus, because I knew I had to continue listening. It really turned me into kind of this dysfunctional, obsessive kind of person. I didn't realize that piece until later when I had to be encouraged, in fact, kicked out of my home to go have fun, to go out with my school friends, to go to the band boosters that were having a big celebration for us for winning state, things like that, because I was so much dialed in. And that dialed in focus was all about serving. It was about serving as a doctor or a nurse, flying airplanes, and serving in the United States Air Force. And I am proud to say that I was part of the first class of women that got a chance to do just that very, very thing. And that's a whole nother story for another day. Also included training for the Olympics, and I was part of a couple of Olympic squads here for the United States in rugby in 96 when we were trying to get rugby included. That didn't happen until 2020, and I'm so proud of our U.S. rugby women this last Olympics for winning the gold and then some. Absolutely incredible, because see, the goal was actually 2004. Have you ever been derailed before? Kind of interesting when that happens. Things don't quite work out. Well, I never made it to Athens because of something called the day. And I'm just going to very quickly share with that. I was actually in the Pentagon on 9/11. Never saw that coming when I was 15 either. That's for darn sure. But then there was this detour, and this detour I was kind of warned about at 15, that maybe I wouldn't ever be able to have children. I didn't even know at 15 if I even liked boys, if I wanted to be married, I wanted a relationship. I didn't know any of those things because God had downloaded this dream to me, and that's all I could see. I always pictured the horse Secretariat. I admire that horse so much. And that's how I kept my blinders up and kept going. So when 94, that began. And I thought I was done. Well, January 2002, no surprise, after the stress of the day of 9/11, yeah, it came back again. It was for a vengeance for another 10 years. It would take 18 and a half years of my life. And in fact, it would take my life twice. I actually would die and go to the heavens and come back to be here with you today. Yeah. Lots of deep breaths. Lots of deep breaths. But you know, because of God's grace and my desire and decision to participate in what He had for me, even when I didn't want to, even when I felt like I couldn't, I'm here today, completely free of any disease in my 6th decade of life. And here we are, rocking and rolling. And I share some of these pictures just because perspective is a thing. And sometimes we're not always able to see for ourselves. We need the vision of other people. And if you see my face in this first picture, you can very much see that something was wrong, but I couldn't tell yet. And then the brain tumor happened. Had no idea it was growing in there. It'd been growing a long time. It took my life. And I'm here today, friends. Let's rock and roll. That right there was 2 weeks after getting out of the hospital. That picture, I didn't even recognize myself. I only knew it was me because of the hair. And then here began the journey. My medical mentor, my journey back to health, to real health, inside and out. And so I leave you, friends, just knowing that perspective is really powerful. And sometimes we need the help of the right community, a community like the one that we have here today, community like friends like Sherry, who just gently pull you aside in love and say, hey, you need to check this out from the other side. And I know that all things are possible because that's what the word says. And as long as we remember that and we work with those that are empowered with us, that have our best interest here, all things are possible. See, start to finish. There we go. That's the picture. Sherry, thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you, Shar. And do you understand? Well, I could not tell you all the stuff about her because there's so much that she's had. And I love Dr. Grace just sent some hearts. You know, it's a good thing. There's a little thing at the bottom. You can send hearts or, you know, clap or whatever. Let's participate. Let's be part of this. I hope you're understanding what woman empowerment is about. It's about looking where we came from and where we want to go. And in between there, we have each other. That's the support system that we have. And that's why we believe that if we get the women, and I love what Lillian said, you know, about all of us coming together, that convergence of women power that is not over somebody else, is to lift people up. And that's what we have here. And the next person I'm so excited to go to is, she's from India and she lives in the UK. And I just have fallen in love with her because not only is she beautiful on the outside, she's so beautiful on the inside. And when you get a chance to hear her story, you'll realize that, you know, growing up for me, and just to let you guys know, you can't judge, you know, somebody from the outside. You have to get to know a person. And that's why I'm so excited for all of you to get a chance to meet her. She's an actress. She's an amazing author. She wrote the book Be Ready for the World, and she's going to, she's a mom, of two gorgeous young men. And I'm so excited to introduce to you Supreet. And Supreet, please share with everyone why you are so excited about women empowerment.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Thank you. And firstly, salute to all the women who have spoken. You have my heart. People who are on the call, people who are going to speak after me. We're all kind of, gathered here today to inspire each other. And it's such a beautiful privilege to be a part of. Thank you for the lovely intro as well. And I do hope I don't disappoint. Here we go. I think my purpose today is to actually show you the woman behind this cover, because like Sherry said, it's very hard to judge people by the cover itself, right? What goes on behind? We're all experiences here. So I just want to share mine very quickly, and a particular segment out of that to give hope to people who may be thinking that life is just not perfect right now. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter, because you will change everything if you just make that decision. So I'm going to take that little moment, and if I'm allowed to share, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking today.
Shar, can you make sure she's a co-host?
Yes, I'm not right now, so it'd be great if I am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, here we go. Okay, looks like I should be able to do this now. Let me know when you do see it eventually.
Okay.
Okay, here we are. Do we see that?
Yes.
Good stuff. And you can see me as well?
Yes.
Good. Here we go. So the theme I've chosen for today is actually turning pain into power, which is going to be everyone's story today, isn't it? Also because I'm a feminist, not by choice, but by circumstance. And this is where it all began. Now, I really want you to imagine this, right? I want you to picture this. A family celebrates the birth of a third daughter, and instead of joy, there is just pure pin drop silence. Whispers of "no son yet" fill the room, and a grandmother shakes her head in dismay yet again. Now that was my baby sister. And this isn't just a glimpse from my past, but it's a snapshot of many Indian households who combat conservative mindsets each day. So for the next few moments, please allow me to highlight a few scenarios that might bring perspective and made me realize that being a girl came with its own terms and conditions, much like a watertight contract that you can't really change. So although our parents were super supportive, the society constantly compared us to the sons that never existed. So imagine listening to an argument that my grandmother was openly having with my father, right? Questioning why he was wasting money on my education abroad because I'd soon need to get married. But thankfully, my father didn't just raise daughters, he raised warriors. And that's why I really believe that feminism needs men. In fact, so much so that it should be spelled feminism is what I really believe. He called us the sons of the family, not because we had to act like men, but because we had to lead with strength. And what was the result? I did study in the UK and spent 8 long years doing bachelor's, master's, and then got a work permit. So my request today to all of you on this call, whatever the circumstances, do not be afraid to dream. It's very important to have that dream. Now, my father unexpectedly did pass away, and that's when I was told that I couldn't perform his last rites because, guess what? I was a woman, and that he won't rest in peace if I did. But I chose to stand there as his eldest daughter and lit that pyre with my sisters. Not defying any religion, of course, but in honor of a man who believed in equality. And that moment, with the flames rising, I knew I wasn't just breaking tradition. It wasn't a fight. I was rebuilding a legacy that my mom and sisters were to leave behind. That moment in 2004 made it to the headlines in many areas of India. But What I still think it's 2025, and check that first headline up there. That's from 2025. More daughters across India are now performing last rites. So there are others daring to break the same mold even now. And that's what gives me goosebumps. We need to change. We really need to make that change and be that change. The point I'm trying to make here is that don't be afraid to honor your opinions and beliefs, really, because they so matter. You just don't know it yet. To speak up. Then after my dad's passing, I took over our family's English teaching business as its managing director. And no, it wasn't as glamorous as it sounds. I actually entered rooms that were screaming with judgment and discomfort. There were these older male franchise owners and employees who looked at me with doubt, a lot of it. No respect, none at all. Or we'd have government officials who asked me to bring a male relative to get simple paperwork done. It hurt here each time, but I didn't step back because I don't think I could. I stepped up. In fact, if I remember it correctly, I think I dressed up. That's exactly what I did. Why? Because it's important sometimes. It's important. All of 24, right? That was me at the time. I needed more power to sell my abilities better. So I literally, and you've got to imagine this, I literally permed my hair to have a lion's mane, where I put on makeup that made me look older. And then I strutted in stilettos up and down the floors, basically worked on an image that meant business and shut all speculations. So sometimes you just have to command respect and just show who's the boss, right? Eventually, I did lead a team of over 200 employees. The point, again, I'm trying to make is that let every no become your fuel, and you're going to get loads coming your way. Cherish them, embrace them, grow with them. And it's absolutely true that empowered women will empower women, because I remember a conversation with my mother at the time who asked, what would you really want to do if you weren't pushed into the family business this early? I thought about it and I said, pageantry. Now, something that at the time was reserved for good girls gone bad. What do you think I did? Of course, I entered the national pageant, and although I didn't win, it became a vehicle to put my voice out there. And today, I'm a pageant mentor and have been, I think, since 2015, helping many such voices to make an impact. So I guess I'm trying to say that I didn't choose feminism. It chose me to convert struggle into strength and pain into power, pretty much what everyone's doing on this call today. So today I speak here not just as a woman, but as a force for those who are doubted, questioned, and even worse, silenced. So for every girl who's ever told you can't, I want to personally be the wind beneath her wings. And some of you are on this call today. I want you to know my nickname is Super, S-U-P-A. So I've pledged to give that super power to all in need, strength, unity, purpose, ambition. Go all out and be super. And I'm standing right behind you. So what does empowering mean to us all? It's a pledge to create safe spaces, to lift voices, and rewrite the rules, because when women rise, we don't just shatter glass ceilings, do we? We lay foundations for generations to stand tall. And this community of impactful women right here is one such foundation that I'm so proud to associate with. So thank you very much for all your time and attention. And thank you for having me on the call today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Supreet. And what a wonderful presentation. And for everybody that's on here, I'm watching you. You must be sending out messages because our room is filling up more and more. And we're 2 away from hitting 100, which 100 is always a magical number for me. And we have we still have Dr. Grace, Rika, Angie, all going to be sharing their stories. So you can send out a message and let's hit that 100 mark. And for all of you that are on, I just want to let you know, I had no idea what was going to happen with this call. I mean, this was kind of like, I was just trusting some leaders to come on board and share their stories, and to hear it, literally, I was choked up after when Lillian did hers, and then I've had tears, listening to people's stories, and Supreet, and Shar. I mean, just in Josephi, you hit a home run. And that is, to me, when you get up to bat and you don't know what kind of ball is going to be thrown at you, and you guys just hit that and connected, and thank you so much. And the next person I'm so excited to introduce to you, because literally she and I had a 2-hour conversation last night before I went to bed. And she is someone that, again, another person that I've met recently that has just impacted my life. She lives in Canada, and she's a doctor. She's so amazing. She's actually the book in which every single woman needs, the Wonder Woman syndrome. You know, it's like this here. All of us think that we have to be Wonder Woman all the time. And when you get a chance, I mean, she's a speaker, she's a trainer, she coaches people. She's tiny. I mean, like, well, the first time I met her, I mean, she's just this little powerhouse, barely 5 feet. It's just like this little bomb of energy. But when she speaks and when she prays, oh my gosh, she's a mighty, mighty prayer warrior. So for all of you that are on this call, please, give it up and pay close attention to Dr. Grace.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sherry. I think everybody can see my screen. We've been all sitting for a while, haven't we? If everybody can just lift up your arms, everybody, come on. Come on, stretch, 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 whether you're on camera or not, stretch out nice and wide. Oh, good. And I want you to put a hello in the chat. And it's so interesting. I always find when we do these sessions that one story weaves into another, and it creates this unified message for us to grab hold of. And I love it, because I did not know what Sabrit was going to speak on, but I chose unlocking your feminine power. Because men come and they're perceived as power, right? And we're perceived as coming from the heart. And when women can blend their femininity with power, watch out what happens. You know the word hello, do you know where it came from? Because I didn't. That's why I want you to put hello in the chat and say it out loud to yourself. Hello was a call to attract attention. It came from a 15th century word that meant a shipman's cry to incite and stir up effort. Today is that cry, a voice for your voice. Globally, everything is changing. Businesses, governments, men, woman, child, we're all at the same starting block. We've survived, but we're in a post-pandemic world, aren't we? And AI is reshaping how we work, how we think, how we connect. Companies we thought would last forever are closing their doors. So the question is, what do we do now? And I'll tell you, when my book publisher, Jerry Robert, gave me the book title, the Wonder Woman Syndrome, How to Do More, Have More, Be More, and Stay Sane, I was like, oh, amazing. And then guess what? My message got tested. And I'm here as a testament today to say that you can, whatever you're going through, you can, but you have a choice. You can park or you can pivot. Now is the time to rise and take your place, because every single person on this Zoom, look around, put it on gallery view. Every single one of you has a unique thumbprint, and that is a metaphor for your message, your hardships, your pain, and your gain. Because as you go, you grow. We've heard it from every speaker that has spoken this morning to underscore that message. And I have 3 keys that I've learned to winning. And the first one is tiara thinking. Is this the finishing touch? Is it? Or is it the beginning? It's more than status, station, or authority. Our thoughts are mental sovereignty. And I'll tell you, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Every single one of you has an internal representation in your mind. So if you can think of one thing that you want, one thing you want to take away from today's message, one thing, build that picture in your mind. Write it out. Make sure you use adjectives, adverbs, see it in action. Play that movie in your mind and then lock it in. You have to lock that in place because that's where it begins. Our thoughts, our mental sovereignty. The second key to winning is to lasso your tongue. Now, I've always been a person who's been inspired to step up, stand up, and speak out. When I was 14 years old, I started teaching and training because I was teaching a children's Sunday school class. The 2 and 3-year-olds, I was like, we don't need to shove them in nursery. They can learn. And we can change our mind. You see, truth is absolute clarity. And when we speak truth to our fears, to our tears, something changes. We have to speak, divinely speak what we want instead of the pain, instead of the challenges. And the third key is symbolized by Wonder Woman's bracelets. They are about protection. They deflect to protect. Listen, each one of us here on this call, we are grown women, feminine, not fragile. And we can use our boundaries to be fiercely focused and deflect everything that is out of alignment with our destiny. Boundaries create the safe space for change to take place. And boundaries are the defense mechanism and system for your destiny. So today, the number one insight that I've learned to unlocking feminine power, I had to think of one thing to leave with you today. Listen, listen, listen. When God shifts my season, when he shifts your season, he introduces new people into your life. And maybe today, this group of women, there's someone here that you're going to connect with and you're going to move forward with. But there's a catch. You can sometimes see that someone was sent, but if you cannot catch the message and what they're carrying, you can miss it. We need to discern the difference between distraction and divine alignment. You see, you and I, we were built to win in life, built to build the life of your dreams. And right now in this new era, it's building time. It's a building season. If you're building, you're in a divine alignment and there will be a wind for what you're building. So ladies, think, talk, walk, rule your mind, declare your desire, and guard your gates. Because we need to start wielding and start building. Let's rise together and show the world I am and I can. Back to you, Sherry.
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Wonder Woman. I that was actually one of my favorite programs. A lot of you weren't even born yet, but it was. I just love that whole spinning around and all that kind of thing, and that's what I feel like we need to do more of. And thank you for getting us to move because life is movement. You know, it's kind of like, you know, when you get stagnant in life and you get on a call like this, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, if they can do it, so can I. That's all we're doing this for. It's just to share our stories with you, to go, you know, if wherever you are right now, where would you like to be? And this person here is the epitome of this, because I have watched her grow up. I mean, when she was practically a baby when I first met her. And, you know, it's funny because everyone calls her my mini-me because we have so much alike. I mean, we actually finish each other's sentences. I don't know if you have friends like that, where you think something and you're on the right track and it all comes together. She's someone who has my heart, and I just am so excited to introduce to you. She's been in real estate. She's a top realtor. She's been in my industry forever, and just is such a comfort to me. You know, someone who just is always there. And here I go getting choked up again. I don't know what this call is doing to me, but a lot of you, I'm feeling you, and a lot of you are empaths, where you can actually feel people versus just listening to them. And this is somebody who does that with me. She is there all the time. And Rika, I'm going to turn the call over to you, and I'm going to probably cry the whole time we talk.
If I can talk without crying. Wow. After following all those women, I'm like, what do I have left to say? And I had some notes. And Sherry, I know I talked to you yesterday and I said, this I want to share, this I want to share. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to listen to whatever comes out. I do have a few notes though. But one of the things that I do want to share about is, we're listening to all these empowered women and everything that they've accomplished. And it's really easy to go, think, could I really do that? And the reality is it really does come down to mindset. And see, I'm going to keep referring back to different things that different women said, but it does come down to mindset. And that's one thing that Sherry taught me is that, and I know I'm going to say, Sherry taught me this, Sherry taught me that. Well, now it's proof in the pudding that it's impacted who I am today for real. But a lot of times as women, we give our power away and we focus on everybody else's needs. And I've done it in my life. And then sometimes we do it until we get so frustrated that we tear it back, but that's not healthy either. And so, but like a drowning person is of no use to another drowning person, we have to take care of ourselves. But I have found in my life, because I too have had the traumas and all the stuff, and Sherry taught me a long time ago, let's not compare horror stories. We all have them. And we're not the only one that's ever suffered. And so like, let's put all that aside. But the point is that in those stories, sometimes we want to stay in that victimhood. Have you ever met people that they just want to talk about, oh my gosh, and this happened to me and that happened to me, and that's the reason I'm not successful. That's the reason I don't have a good marriage. That's the reason my kids are monsters. That's the reason, whatever. And we try to find excuses for those things, because as long as we hang on to that baggage, we can't move forward, but we have somebody else to blame. And with awareness comes responsibility. And Sherry, I remember her teaching this a long time ago. And she said, Rika, I don't want to hear it. See, Sherry is one of the most loving people that you'll ever meet in your life, but she knows the difference between hard love and soft love and when you need it. And I remember one time I was in a really dark place and I called her. No, I texted her and I said, I need to talk to you. And I could tell, because we're pretty connected, I think of her and she calls me and vice versa. But I texted her and I was like whining. And you know what she said to me? She didn't want to jump in the pit with me and hear my sob story. She needed me to raise my vibration a little bit so that then I could hear her words of wisdom and help me find the solution to get out of the situation. She texted me back and she goes, write down 5 things that you're grateful for and then call me. And I was so mad that I didn't call her right away. But then I realized, I'm like, you know what? She's right. She didn't want to wallow in it with me, because see, so many of us are surrounded by people that, have you picture this? If you're standing up on a chair and somebody else is standing at the bottom of the chair, and if you try to pull them up, how hard is that going to be? If they try to pull you down, it's pretty easy. So it's really easy to find those people in your life that pull you off the chair. And every time you have something positive, or even just are doomsdayers. And I just find the more that we get to a place where we go, wow, let's look at the bright side. Let's look at the good thing. And so Sherry told me, back to my story, she said, Rika, I don't want to hear it. Put it on a box. She goes, that's your past. Put it in a box, lock it up. And let's look at what you want to create in the future. I can't change your past, but I can change your future. And it is as simple as what we focus on. What we focus on expands 100%. So what is the life that you want to create? And I guess that's really what I want to share with you, because we can think, we can hear theory, we can hear like this, but what? Stop and go, what if I could dream? And Sherry always said, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. So what if you can, 5 years from now, if you could really go, what do I want my marriage to look like? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want my finances to look like? What do I want my home to look like? And if you actually sat down and thought about that and then started taking steps, not one steps, you don't have to have every step. Just take the first one and start going towards the things. And see, I just turned 59 and I'm like, wow. I've lived in New Jersey for 15 years, and 15 years, I'm going to be 74. And, and Sherry, please, she's like a freak of nature, how incredible she is at her age. Not that she's old. Okay, wow, step all over it, Rika. But the point is, I thought, I'm going to seize the day. I read a book called, I have a goal to read 50 books this year. I've read 29 so far. But in one of the books, it's called 4,000 Weeks. The average person has 4,000 weeks. What am I doing with this one? Because they go by fast. So every day, if we take each day and go, what about today? If it was my last day, what would I do today? Would I spend it scrolling on stuff on my phone? Probably not. Would I spend it calling people that I love and creating community and creating real, honest, true relationships? That's what I would do. And so, and whatever it is for you, I just encourage you to go. Sometimes people go, oh, but I'm this old already, or I'm this. No, you know what? We all have we have today. And that's all any of us are ever promised. So what are we going to do with it today? And I am so grateful that you took the time to be here today. And I'm so happy to be a part of this incredible community and to get to hear from these amazing women. And I just want to leave you with the thing that I shared earlier, because I would love for you to go ahead and realize how amazing you are. And as Sherry said to me, I'm going to pass it on, because she's passed on many ripples of success to people and impacted so many lives through the things she shared. So I just want to leave with you, if you only knew who you were. Thanks, Sherry.
Wow. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Rika. It's hard to, and it's like when you're the last one and people are sharing all their stories, it's hard to, go, okay, what direction do I go next? And I am so excited about this next person. She's our grand finale, and she's someone that actually started her career when she was 19 years old and has been in the same career and industry ever since. And I'm so proud of her, because it's the same industry that I'm in, and I'm so proud of her, and so grateful that she's taken the time to kind of be the end of our call, in the sense, and you always say, we save the best for last, but the best has been through the whole call. I mean, we've just had powerhouse after powerhouse after powerhouse. And Angie Cuff, I just am so excited for you to share with everyone, your woman empowerment story. And, for all of us, we are just grateful for every single person on this call, but especially for you to, get up early and be on this call with us. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Hello, ladies. Woo! What a morning. Morning for me, whether you might be good evening, good afternoon, where you might be, where you are in the world right now. But isn't it amazing how God works? Sherry mentioned I was first introduced to her when I was 19 years old. And I say introduced, our introduction was me sitting in a seat with thousands and thousands of other people, just in awe of this woman on stage who had class, who was dynamic, who was confident and beautiful and kind and generous, and being so inspired and so moved. And that was Sherry Sharman. And to think now, full circle, over 25 years later, to be partnered together in business, in friendship, in life, is just, it's so amazing. So I am honored to be on this Zoom. I am honored to be with all of the ladies that you've got to hear from previously. What an amazing, amazing group of women. So I'll just tell you a little bit of my story, and I've been just taking this all in and trying to maybe go a different route than I originally planned. There were so many amazing things covered, but I'm from a small town in the States, in Minnesota. And raised in a very middle class, average background. My parents always living paycheck to paycheck, struggling with money, and kind of going along that same path. I started working when I was 15 years old, just to help support my family financially. And working multiple different jobs, end up not really finding my niche. Spending a lot of time in retail. I love shopping. I love fashion. So ladies, what's up, right? I love it, but it's not very good for me as a career, as I end up spending more money at the stores I work at than I actually made working there. So, but I'm working these jobs. I'm going to college, and I would make money for my job, and then I would sign up for a college class, and then I would make more money, and then write out a check and take another class. And I'm in this process, and thank goodness, one day, someone came into my retail store. They got my name off of my name tag. They went back to an office, And there was a lady that called me and said, you know, we're really impressed with the service you provided. Do you ever keep your career options open outside of, and the store that I was at that time was called Carlton Cards. And this is in 1996. I am making $6.50 an hour. So I was basically like, don't hang up. Had no questions. I had no skepticism. I was very open-minded. And I came down to see an industry that turned out, little did I know, it was going to be the profession for my whole adult life. It's what I end up doing for the next 25 plus years and still do today. And I remember, you know, just being new to the business world of entrepreneurship and being so impressionable. I remember a gentleman who was still a financial mentor of mine today talking about how if you can find someone that has what you want, if you simply do what they do, you can get what they've got. And so I was at that time in my business, I was surrounded by a lot of men, which was amazing. You know, I learned a ton from them. A lot of them were very type A, very aggressive. And so because I was like, okay, find someone that has what you want and do what they do. Okay, so I need to now be more aggressive, right? I needed to, you know, I looked at them, they were all wearing like black, gray, brown suits. So I'm like, okay, I need to wear black, gray, brown suits. And what happened, guys, is I believe so much in matching and modeling, but not losing yourself in the process. Because as a female, as women, there's so much that we can bring to the table. There's so many things that attract people to us, right? And so what happened was when I started this journey on entrepreneurship, one of the things that I was told and I was looking for is they said, you know, what if you could find something where it didn't matter if you were a male or a female. It didn't matter if you have a PhD, obviously it's an incredible accomplishment, but they said if you had a PhD or a GED, it wouldn't hold you back from, you know, going out and accomplishing whatever you wanted, right? They said we don't have, you know, blue products or blue memberships for boys or pink products or pink memberships for girls. We didn't have, you know, they said there isn't different compensation plans for different people. So if you're, you know, teachable and trainable and willing to go to work, it truly was equal compensation. And that was it was just this like this shining light to me, like, okay, this is somewhere where really anybody could go out and win, and not even just in a financial realm. And yes, are there people, you know, that I've been fortunate to be inspired by and mentored by, that, you know, other women that have created financial freedom, people like Sherry Sharman. But more importantly than the financial freedom, and actually Sherry and I just talked about this yesterday, and that was the time freedom. It was to do what you want with who you want when you want to do it. That it was that you could really prioritize your life and stand behind those priorities. You know, I think for a long time, I would have always told you that, you know, God comes first in my life, my family comes second, and my career comes third. But there was a time where if you would have said, you would have looked at that when, if you looked at the amount of time I spent in those three areas, it was very incongruent to what I was saying. And what's so neat about this business that I found in entrepreneurship was that you really could make your priorities your priorities. See, I'm still able to be at, you know, it's very important. I have a 13-year-old son at home. I have two stepdaughters, one that is just graduated from law school a couple weeks ago, another stepdaughter who is the interior design in Nashville, and we have a 13-year-old son at home. And it's so important for me to be present in their life. You know, there's just this small window of time, right, where all of a sudden they're out of the house and they're their own adults and living their own life. And, you know, we made a decision, you know, on experiences over things. over Christmas, birthdays, instead of buying something. I mean, if you ask my son, what'd you get for Christmas a couple years ago? Like, he wouldn't remember. But if you say, tell him about a vacation that we took him on. In fact, I was just, I've been very fortunate to be asked to do a speaking engagement in Barcelona. Actually, Sherry and I were just talking about that as well, and talking about, taking my son there, he just turned, he's actually just turned 14 this week, but to give him that experience, to world school, we world school our son. And the time freedom that this industry has allowed me to have so we can do that has been better than any paycheck that we could ever make, right? Because when you do that, when you're able to prioritize your time and be present with your children and the people that you love, is when I think you can really make an impact. Now, don't get me wrong. I think if you look at any successful male or female, there was a season of hard work and maybe sacrifice that went into that. But I think what's so great, if that I found in personally with entrepreneurship, was that I could have those seasons, but through time management, I could still fulfill all of the other things that were important to me. And I think when I look at multitasking and I look at females, it's kind of like it's basically like one and the same. We can multitask like no other. But I learned a long time ago to, if you don't value your schedule, if you don't value your time, other people won't either. Right. So every single morning when I get up, I put together a schedule, and some people maybe would say it's to the extreme, but it's what works for me, because I know if I don't schedule it, it's not going to get done. So I schedule not only time where I'm going to build my business in the future for our family, but I schedule out, when am I going to be rebounding basketball shots with my son in the backyard? When am I going to be, I volunteer at my church on Wednesday night. That's scheduled out. I host a children's neighborhood Bible study in my home. That's scheduled out. Again, if these things aren't in the planner, they're not going to get done. And I'm a little old school. I have a paper planner where I write everything out, but I think that's so important to not lose sight of what is really important. I mean, there's so many hard-charging, hard-working women on here that maybe you're like me, where I used to say yes to everything. Can I volunteer at this? Can I donate time and money for that? Can I be a part of this? And I would say yes, 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 yes. And the things that were really important to me, I always ask myself, is this putting me closer or further away from my goals, from where I want to be ultimately, with my family, spending time, giving back, serving, right? Giving to others, those are things that are really important to me. So if I say yes to this, is it going to be closer to that or further away from that? So I think that's so important to, know that it's okay to say no. It's okay to do that and feel okay about that, especially if you're saying yes to the things that are the right things that are important to you. So I have been incredibly blessed to be around this community of women that through this industry, through the people that you're hearing from today, that I feel that we're in the same business. And maybe in the outside world, maybe that would be looked at as like a competition. But our belief system is that we are more into, complementing than we are competing. We've got each other's backs. Like, we are a sisterhood. And I feel so fortunate that not only to partner in business with these people, but these are relationships, these are friendships. There are women on here that I know that if something happened to me, or that my kids would be taken care of, that our legacy of what we wanted to accomplish and do as a community would continue on. And it's so amazing to be part of something like that, that's so filled with love and kindness. And I mean, if you've been watching on the videos, a lot of people that have their videos on here, and you see people applauding each other and cheering each other on. And, the chat is just filled with encouragement and love and kindness. And it's like, what if that could be your community? And I just thank God every single day that this is ours. So I am thankful and I'm blessed to be on here. I'm so thankful for your time. I hope that something that someone said today, I'm sure it added value to your life. And I hope, Sherry, that this isn't the last women empowerment Zoom that we do, because I know that anytime it's offered, I am going to be plugging in 100%. So thank you for taking your precious time out, because we know that your time is valuable to spend with us today. And I love you. I appreciate you. And I look forward to meeting each and every one of you somewhere, maybe on a vacation, somewhere in the world. So thank you guys for having me on today. Thank you, Sherry.
Oh, thank you so much, Angie. And thank you all the ladies that are on this call and for your time, because we really, really do respect that. And I've gotten messages from people that they had to get to go into work or they had to take their kids to school or whatever, and they're begging for the recording of this. So for all of you that want a copy of it, we will get you a copy of this call, because I know you have people, like my mom couldn't get on this call, and she wants to see the recording. And my mom's 92 years young and just amazing, because she's been my wind beneath my wings. She was both my mom and dad growing up, and she is who I am. When people say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're 72 years old," I've said, "Have you seen my mom?" I mean, she doesn't look like she's 92, and she's still my CFO. When you look at that, mindset is everything in life. It's what you think of yourself. If you think you're old, you're old. If you think you're too young, you're too young. But what if you just had the same mindset? I love the fact of when Supreet was talking and they told her that she couldn't, speak at her father's funeral. I mean, it's like, and she took control, and the stats that have followed that to where now women in India are able to do that. That is just so impressive. You have no idea what your life is doing for the future generations, and that's why we're stepping up right now. And I love the fact that everyone on here gave you so many golden nuggets of information, and I know someone related to your story. And for all of you that are on here, we just want you to know the person who invited you is part of our community. They invited you because this is not about business or anything else. This is just about life. We are creating an empowerment group of women that if you want to know more about what we do, that's at another time. You get with the person who invited you out. They'll get you hooked up, and we can do a presentation for you and show you what we do for a living. But what we're doing for life is all of this. We're getting together. We're going to inspire. We're going to share stories. We're going to, put some workshops together. I know that presently, right now, as we speak, Lillian in Singapore is putting a retreat together for courageous women, and she's educating the Asian women to be more powerful, which I see Haas on this call, she's one of my favorite, that Lillian has introduced to me. It's like I've gotten to meet all of you from somebody, and that is why I love this business. It's called networking, and if you like to be able to be around positive, motivated people, please do me a big favor and ask the person who got you on the call to see more about what we do. And with that, I'm going to open up the call for all of you. Let's send some hearts to all the speakers. They did such an amazing job. Let's all just know that life is yours, and love who you are, and be more and live life to the fullest, because we never know when our time God is going to call us in. But right now, our job is to live and inspire others. So with that, thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Sweet dreams over on the other side of the world. And take care, and God bless. Bye, everyone. You can open up and say goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.